I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is a city council work session. It is 6 p.m. Monday, June 24th. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Porter,
Present.
Councilmember Middleton. Present. Councilmember Kavanaugh is absent today. Councilmember Dundon,
Present.
Councilmember Costi.
Present.
Council President Matavetsky is also absent today. Council President Pro Tem Hotchkiss.
Present.
Thank you.
So on to our first item on the agenda. We have RL 24-122 considered into rules and procedures. We have our presenter today is Luke Day, who is the chair of the Commission on the Conservation of the Environment. Do you want to come on down, Luke? Thank you. How are you? Yeah,
Yes.
press the button and get the green light. And you got to bring the mic closer to your.
Okay. Oh.
Okay, so we're looking at RL 24-122, an ordinance to allow CCE chair to appoint city residents to committees within the commission. Do you want to explain a little bit more about that or go into?
Sure. Yeah, we've had some inquiries from community members regarding environmental topics, and we'd like to open up committee membership.
Could you just move the mic a little bit closer?
Yep, sorry, I'll
Thank
start over. We've had inquiries from community members regarding environmental topics and would like to open up committee membership to them. They wouldn't be members, obviously, of the commission or be allowed to vote on commission votes, but they could vote within the committees, just so we have more people working on more topics as they come up, because they seem to be pretty endless. There's been several BU students have shown interest along with other people from the city.
So what's the most popular committee that people are asking about right now?
Well, there's one about vacant spaces and rewilding and growing different plants there, just on a possibly temporary basis, but if it's in a floodplain, maybe permanent basis, it'll help with floodwaters, that type of thing.
Gotcha. I think I'm pretty familiar with your wanting to do this, and I support you bringing more people in to try to get more work done within that commission and for the city. Is there any other discussion from any other council members?
No.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, I think it would be helpful to have BU students doing research and maybe from Broome and other high school students
Absolutely.
projects.
Yeah, I agree with you. Do you have any connection to SUNY Broome to do like outreach there to try to get people involved in the?
I used to, but I don't think he works there anymore. Doug Garner.
Okay.
But I think he's retired, like most of the people I know.
All right. Well, I don't have anything else. Thank you for coming down and making your presentation.
All right. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Luke.
All right. Next on the agenda, we have RL 24-128 in municipal and public affairs. The presenter is Al Gardner, and leading the discussion will be Councilmember Middleton.
Hello, Chief. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
We're good. So this is RL 24-128. It's a resolution authorizing the agreement with Broome Tioga Board of Cooperative Educational Services for the fire protection services. So can you tell us about this?
Correct. This is just it's a renewal of a 4-year contract that I believe we've been doing since maybe 2012. And it's a 4-year contract, and they pay us a sum of $30,000 a year to provide fire protection. I think we're we're an ISO class 1 department and I think that benefits them. They want the 24-hour protection. They do have a volunteer service covering that area, but we're there, we're manned 24/7, so it kind of fills the gaps. And so they have a lot of structure there that they need protected. And we're able to do that for them.
Okay, so this is just an agreement that we've already had in place.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
that's fine.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions?
Chief, I'm curious to know how many contracts like this do we have?
It's just basically 2. We have a confined space agreement with Frito-Lay.
Okay.
Where we back up their team. They make an entry into confined space. We go on standby. And if they have a problem up there, we respond with our personnel and equipment.
All right, thank you. Anything else from anybody?
All right.
So, thank you
very
so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda, we have RL 24-129 in Municipal and Public Affairs. Again, with Councilmember Middleton, and we'll have David Bidwell presenting.
Hello,
Good evening.
how are you?
I'm well, yourself?
Awesome. So we have, looks like we have 2 pieces, but the first one is RL 24-129. It's a resolution authorizing acceptance of grant funds from, what's that, LE Tech? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, it's the law enforcement technology grant.
Yes, awesome. Oh, can you explain that to us?
Yeah, so the grant itself is for 668,000. It's a portion of the governor's grant. I think that the total package was close to $140 million for technology for law enforcement.
Okay, and so it's funny that we are having this today. You know, they had a press conference today about us saying that we aren't accepting the money, but that's not true. That's another story. But that's another story. But can you just explain like what the money? I know it's coming from the governor. We've heard about that already.
Yep.
Can you give us some detail on what is inside of this grant and what this money can be used for?
So there is an allotment of that's acceptable from the governor's. Can everybody hear me? Am I
Yeah,
coming
push
through?
it a little bit. I talk loud. So.
So things that are allowable on this are going to be lighting systems, body worn equipment, patrol vehicle equipment, software applications, scanners, readers, radios, 3D crime scene laser scanners, unmanned aerial vehicles, acoustic gunshot detection, license plate readers, and surveillance cameras. Those are just some of the.
Some of them, awesome. And who gets to choose that? Is that something that like we as city council would do that, or do you guys like do you have a team that comes up with what is what you choose there?
So we looked at some of the needs that we had.
Yes.
So the big one for us was going to be, we have a mobile command vehicle.
Mhm.
So critical incident, a big shooting, or anything like that. So what it is it's so outdated. The computers don't work, the
Mhm.
screens don't work. So a big portion was to overhaul that.
Okay.
And then when that was left over, it was kind of, one of the things we definitely need is a Fred machine. So a server for storage. So computer crimes like sex crimes against children, it eats up a lot of storage. So a server rack was definitely something that was needed for us.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions regarding this? Okay.
Yeah, I have, so, besides the new servers, is there anything else that you would be interested in purchasing for the police department, like that would be within this grant?
There was some lighting setups that we wanted. So for like accidents, major crimes. So just flashing lights that are portable that we could put out. Another thing we wanted was like a mobile speed sign that we could put in different communities. And then some unmanned aerial vehicles we looked at, but I think the majority of our budget would get eaten up by the mobile command vehicle. So
I'm sure.
until we really got a good number on that, I wouldn't even know where we stand with anything else.
Do you know how often that gets deployed, the mobile command vehicle? I know I've seen it like at different events and stuff.
I know like they take it out to Touch of Trucks for kids, they take it up to the Discovery Center, but then SWAT call outs, it usually goes out. Always community events, and then anytime anything serious goes out, it would go out. So the exact number, I wouldn't know off. I mean, I would take a wild stab of a guess, probably 40 to 50 times a year.
Okay.
I got a question, Nate. So for the mobile command vehicle, will you have to wait a year or 2 years, like with a fire truck, like you put in the order and then you have to wait because they're going to be backdated?
No, so we have it, and then originally we thought we would have to take it to them. They fly in with the equipment and install it right here.
Okay, so it's actually the same shell of the vehicle. They're just updating all the
They're just-
technology.
Oh, okay.
All the new wires, new computer racks, new server racks, new chairs, new screens. Yes, so they come here and update everything.
Oh, okay.
Same shell.
Yeah.
I was hoping I'd get a trip out of it to Montana and have that, but they're coming. They would come here.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I think I'd regret not asking about the surveillance cameras aspect. I think that has been the hottest button issue. I think a lot of people, residents are worried about the encroachment on their privacy and what that might lead to and how that taps into larger networks of surveillance. And I was wondering, I know you haven't mentioned that that's something that you're looking to purchase with this grant, but is there anything that you could speak about?
We did not write for cameras in this.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not in there. They didn't ask for it.
All right. That's all.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So we have another one. This is RL 24-130. It's a resolution authorizing the acceptance of grant funds from the Give Initiative. Can you talk about that for us, please?
Yeah, so the Give Grant's a grant that we've got ever since I've been in this position. So at least, I mean, I know prior to 2018, but definitely since I've been here, the grant's for $370,168. The Give Grant, what it does, it pays for salaries, fringe benefits, hotspot policing overtime. It pays for youth initiative. So like Pale Camp, if anything they need that we could use the
Awesome.
funding for that. And then SEPTAT overtime as well as some training as well.
That sounds pretty self-explanatory. Does anybody have any questions?
I do. I was looking at the different aspects of the initiative and the core elements, and the first starts with people. And it states that the strategy must focus on preventative enforcement efforts on top offenders who have been identified as being responsible for the most shootings and homicides. And I was curious if BPD has a running list of the top offenders in this community.
So chronic offenders is part of the Give Initiative. So yes, they do.
Okay, so I guess that makes me curious, like what's preventing BPD from making arrests for people that are chronic offenders?
Well, they would still have to commit a crime in order to
Oh,
arrest them.
all right. Okay. Thank you.
That's it.
That's all.
Yeah, question, Romney?
So it's about just when I was looking at the acronym, saying gun involved violence elimination. So all that does is you're just trying to bring down gun violence throughout the city, correct?
So they pick certain, so for the Give It,
So they would pick certain areas, so most likely north of Maine and all.
9 posted, like Town and Country, the country is another. South side, I think it's 42 Mitchell is one of the areas. Downtowns, and I think the fifth is south side over by Belchers. So what it is data driven. So like Chicago PD is the perfect example. So they do micro hotspots. So what we did was the Crime Analysis Center for the city of Binghamton looked at all the crime stat numbers and to pick the 5 micro areas. We just took the crime data, where was the highest crime rates.
On those, and those are the 5.
Those are the
High.
5 areas, yes.
5 high crime,
In the city.
crime rates.
Yep.
Okay. And this mostly can go towards like one of the things for, I was looking from the previous RL. You mentioned, the gunshot, the gunshot, what was that? The acoustic gunshot detection system?
From the previous one?
Yeah.
Yep.
That helps also with that as well, right?
So the give grant doesn't do for that. So there's two that I know of. There's ShotSpotter is what it's called.
Okay.
And then the other one is through the company Flock. I think it's another like bird acronym. So like Raven or something like that. What that is there's speakers and cameras and they detect gunshots. And so it relays to, so like ShotSpotter has an office in California or wherever in the world. So if there was a shooting or if the speakers picked up what they thought were gunshots, it would go to the center first, which is 24 hours manned. They would determine, okay, is that fireworks or is that gunshots? If it was gunshots, then it would get relayed to the Binghamton Police Department or what other agency is using the equipment.
It's kind of like they have one. I see it when I'm in New York often. It's like a white machine kind of they put out there. Is that the same thing?
So the ones I've seen, so like Syracuse has it. Syracuse has it. I think Endicott's putting it in. It's literally like I mean, they're tiny speakers that are on poles. But it's very expensive. I want to say the last time I looked, ShotSpotter was $50,000 a quarter square mile.
Is there one in the first ward?
There's no shit. We don't have ShotSpotter. That's too expensive.
I'm just talking about any acoustic,
We don't have, not in the city of Binghamton. We don't have it.
you don't have it?
No.
Any of that?
No shot, nothing.
That's odd, because I quickly when I hear gunshots in certain areas. Okay, all right. This is all the questions I have.
Does anybody else have any questions? Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Next on the agenda, we have RL 24-131. Again, in municipal and public affairs, this is being presented by Steve Carson. We have a resolution authorizing an agreement with Fairview Recovery Service.
Hi, Steve.
Hello, how you doing?
Good. So this is RL 24-131.
Mhm.
It's a resolution authorizing the agreement with Fairview Recovery Service, and it's requested to be expedited.
Yes.
Sure. Can you just give us some information about this?
Okay, so this is less an agreement and more of a funding source to fix a hole in Fairview's budget from back in the COVID days. This will also allow us to use older unused COVID ESG money, which is the Emergency Solution Grants homeless money. The point of this is was for the coordinated entry system, which you may have heard about in previous discussions. And the salaries and administrative costs running that program.
I was going to ask you where was the money coming from, but you.
Well, it was originally from it was from us, and then there was some confusion on Fairview's side of things, and then they spent the money. They basically spent more money than we gave them, and so they have a hole in their budget now. They've already paid it out to salaries and administrative costs.
So you're just basically putting it back in.
Yes, we're
Okay.
making them whole.
Okay. And was this money already promised and it didn't get, or you're just helping out?
No, I mean, because they spent more than they were promised, so to speak. But this, the money, the various funding lines, all are funding lines for ESG, which is the Emergency Solutions Grant, some COVID, some non-COVID. So it's to be used for homeless activities and services, which coordinated entry does fall under.
Well, the money that was spent, was that the money that was overspent? Was that for the homeless, or just for for the homeless?
For the coordinated entry, correct. Which is for those, I might be jumping out. Do you know or I can just talk about the coordinated entry. The coordinated entry system was the system that we kind of did during COVID. It basically provided one coordinated place for people to call in and be connected with a homeless provider of some kind. It could be homeless prevention, it could be a shelter, it could even be street outreach, depending. So it was this sort of centralized location, coordinated entry system. So that's what it stands for.
Okay. think of anything else? Is it already came in? Ask the question. Right? I can't think of anything.
Continue. You want
I'm good right now.
It's, so what I'm trying to understand, they mismanaged their funds and now it's our job to fix it for them.
Yes.
Is there any other ideas to spend the funds on that's left over from the COVID money?
Well, the COVID money has to be spent by the end of July, and it can only be spent on expenses that were expended during COVID. So there's a limit on that one particular pool of funding, the funding that's .CV. The other stuff is simply unused older ESG fundings, admin funds, and various program funds.
Is there anything that's came across your desk where that money could be used by the end of July, or is it just going to be a wash?
I have not known of anything nothing I know that could be spent in such a short period of time.
Okay.
So Stephen, reading over the original legislation, the total contract was supposed to be 153,895 and change.
Mm.
And then you're saying that Fairview Recovery Services spent 73,000 over that?
So what the issue was is it was an amendment to the existing contract. So they unfortunately interpreted it as a new contract. So they saw that they had two contracts as opposed to an amendment to an existing.
Oh, so there's only one. So there was only one, actually.
Originally only one
Okay.
contract that was amended, but they interpreted it as two separate full contracts.
I guess I kind of agree with Councilman Costi that it seems like if this was something else, but that wasn't dealing with homelessness services, I'd probably be more critical of it.
Mhm.
But like, how often are we covering somebody else's mistake with city money? And
plus, are you gonna need a
I mean-
public hearing for this as well?
Well, I mean, the public hearings were originally that these monies were to be used for homeless activities. These monies were used for homeless activities.
But he didn't answer. I'm sorry to come,
yeah, how? And I'm sure there isn't like a running tally of this, but how often are we covering for somebody else's mistake? And
I don't have the answer to that.
right. All right, I don't have anything else.
This is something you want expedited.
Specifically for the COVID portion, which is the 7,000 and change, which has to be spent on eligible activities before the end of July.
And so what are the COVID things that need to be paid for to use that money?
I'm not sure I understand what you're saying.
Maybe I heard incorrectly.
Mhm.
But the COVID funds that you have, that supposedly have been left over.
Mhm.
What things are I'm asking what specific things are that this money is going to
It's going to salaries that had already been paid.
to the employers?
Yeah, to the employees that were working the coordinated entry system during COVID that have already been paid. It's going to basically reimburse Fairview for monies they already expended to cover those costs.
Okay, all right, I know. already.
Okay, so, oh, yeah, okay, I understand why you asked that. Okay,
I mean, so as far as expediting, we have a meeting at the beginning of July. Would that be adequate?
Probably. I didn't know how long it would take and if there was going to be required, if you wanted to hold a public hearing or any other type of activity. I wanted to build in enough time for it.
So does anybody want to make a motion to expedite?
I'll make the motion to expedite it.
I'll second.
Okay, and then you have to do a roll call.
Councilmember Porter,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Councilmember Dundon,
Aye.
Councilmember Costi,
No.
Councilmember Hotchkiss?
Nay.
Thank you. That's 3-2.
So the motion fails.
Passes.
Does it need a majority of the whole or the just who's ever present? Okay,
You have a quorum.
okay. So the motion passes. And this is expedited and we will vote on it at our next business meeting, assuming it gets signed out. Is there anything else? Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Next on the agenda, we have RL 24-120. This is employees. Leading the discussion will be Councilmember Porter, and the presenter is Bailey Goodson.
Hello, Ms. Goodness.
Good evening.
This is RL 24-120. Binghamton Johnson City Joint Sewage Board requests the owners pass legislation to amend the 2024 budget position count by increasing the operator trainee position by 1. The amount would be offset by holding 1 open shift lead operator position from being filled for 8 pay periods. There will be no change to funding in the 2024 budget.
That's
Am I correct?
correct.
All right. So, so now that they be the open, did someone retire? Did someone?
Someone is retiring at the end of this month.
Okay.
The position, I set it out to July 20th to allow time for city council to make a decision on the request.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
So basically with the guy retiring, you're just looking to bring a trainee in and then fill those shoes eventually, I'm guessing.
That's correct.
Anybody else have any more questions on it? Okay. All right.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's all set.
Yeah, I guess.
All right.
Well, we go on to the next RL.
Yep. Next we have RL 24-121. Considered into finance. So leading the discussion will be Councilmember Costi. Then Billy, you can stay right there for your presentation.
Thanks.
Yeah, this is RL 24-121, an ordinance to amend the BJCSP 2024 budget to accept comp, alliance award, and increase travel and training. So my understanding is we just won an award and you're trying to spend the funds that we won for travel and training purposes.
Yeah, to add more safety training.
Yeah.
This probably even help out for the training position for the shift lead.
Possibly, yes. He may have to go to school.
Makes sense. Any-
Anything else? All right. Thank you, Billy.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have RL 24-132, considered into employees. Councilmember Porter will be leading the discussion, and we have Chuck Robinson filling in for Kent. All right.
Oh, Mr. Robinson.
Good morning, sir.
Thank
Or
you.
good afternoon.
Thank
Feels
you.
like morning to me.
All right, so RL 24-132. Is to amend the 2024 budget using park supervisor vacant salary less OOT of Teamsters from July 6th of 2024 to September 27, 2024 to pay for retro pay for acting parks director from April 21, 24 to July 6, 24 and cover employees payout commissioner of parks. So is now the acting director taking over the park supervisor, the vacant park supervisor?
That I don't know. I was hoping to ask Kent that. But he is getting the pay in that line, so we need to move the money anyway. And the out of title pay that the other people are taking away from that line makes a allows him to get that. Let's see, that was for the it's part of it's for his retroactive that he hasn't been getting through to the end of the year, basically.
Okay. But so. Yeah, because that is a good question. I mean, to the understanding that instead of being the commissioner of the parks, the person might be the director in a form of trying to.
Right, I don't know
maybe
what his
to
title is.
create the position of their job to continue as a
Right, well,
in that
he-
position or
he
at
is
least
doing-
still on the parks as secure their job security, I guess.
Yes, he is doing it and he is getting out of title pay right now, but that'll go away.
That will go away once we decide on moving this
Right.
forward. Okay. Any questions from anybody?
Yes, that's correct.
There's no further discussion. We can move on to the next item. Are you gonna stick around, Chuck? Okay,
Yeah.
great. So it's a RL 24-133. Again, considered into employees with Councilman Porter. Take it away.
24 RL 24-133 is to amend the 2024 budget by using the assistant comptroller vacant salary from June 8th of 2024 to July 7th of 2024 and a vacant park and meter position from May 2025 and to July 5th of 20. I don't understand that one, but and for July 5th of 2024. An unpaid position in parks from I'm guessing from 20 May 24 of this year. 25th on 25th of May on 2024.
Yes, there's just 1 month for those 2 people in the Parks Department that were unpaid.
Okay, and in another position in the DPW
Yes.
from that same position.
Yes,
from
I'm
that same
sorry.
timeframe.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I misspoke. That was DPW.
Or is it? It looks like it's 2 positions.
Right,
rather
one's
than
a street maintainer, that's DPW, and one's the parks maintainer.
Okay. Okay. And we're just increasing it from 69,256 to 85,000.
Yes, and she is coming on board, so that's the reason why this is expedited, because I need some help.
Okay. All right.
Chuck, is part of this increase because we've had a hard time retaining in that position based off like the degrees and the background you'd have to have?
Yes, it is difficult to find somebody with municipal experience in that level of job. And I mean, I've been doing it for a while and I think that she'll do well, but yeah, you're right. It's difficult all around.
And to my understanding, it seems to be the civil service exam has been the main issue that has been going on.
Not usually for like accountants and assistant comptrollers. The ones that we've had have always passed the test. I passed the test, the one before me passed it. Well, I don't think she made it to the test, but the one before that, I think they passed the test. Usually the staff accountants do really well on the tests. And my junior accountant hasn't taken a test yet, so I don't know about that answer yet.
And the fact that even when you do take a test, it takes a little bit of time before you get the results half the time.
That's true.
I don't even know why we have the civil service exam if it's causing issues. So we can have people in the right places where they need to be in the right places.
Absolutely.
It would be rather take that away. It seems more of a gatekeeping aspect than actually using people for experience. So any other questions?
I've got one. Is this salary increase part of like an agreement that it's like they won't come on board unless there's the salary increase?
That was an agreement. Yes, that was made.
Okay, so you're not gonna until this gets approved, you're not gonna have an assistant?
Well, yeah, she can't start
Okay,
because I believe her tentative start date is the day after the week that July starts. Was that like the 7th, I believe, or the 8th? That
Yeah,
Monday, the 8th.
yeah,
okay. I think my other curiosity about this is that we continue to take from all these vacant positions to increase other positions, but then when it comes back around, it doesn't seem sustainable to me that we continue to rob, not really rob because they're vacant, but it's just like we're using these items that have been budgeted for, but they're not being filled, and then we're prioritizing some positions over others. But that's more of a comment. I don't know if you want to respond to that.
No, no, I mean, I agree with your point.
Thank you.
it's even understandable that like by us taking away from other positions, that if we was to talk to county or someone to change up the civil service exam and get people in these positions, we wouldn't continue to take away from those vacant salaries. I mean, it's something maybe we need to talk to county with.
We could, I'm sure we could have this conversation offline about how to work on it. But so does anybody have a motion to expedite?
And this is mostly for the expedition of the assistant comptroller, not for the other two positions, all right?
No, that is correct, just for the assistant comptroller.
I just want to be clear. So are we taking from those other two positions, taking the money away from those two positions to put for this comptroller?
Yes. Yeah, that's where the vacancies have existed because the budget, I mean, if we didn't take those positions and let's just say they stayed till the end of the year, that would have been money just left over at the end of the year, which is good. But right now we kind of need it.
Expedite?
I'll second the motion.
All right, clerk, want to take the roll?
Councilmember Porter,
Aye.
Councilmember Dundon,
Aye.
Councilmember Costi,
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Aye.
Thank you. That's 4-0.
So motion passes. Again, we'll vote on this at the next business meeting if it gets signed out. Is there any other discussion on this? Okay. So moving on to RL 24-134, again, in the Employees Committee with Councilmember Porter.
RL 24-134 is basically police department is refiling the previous senior clerk position. Annual salary is 36,320.29 with an effective date of July 8th of 2024. The remainder of the salary of the position of 19,557.13. This budget amendment reduces A 3120-5.5100 program assistant by the 19,557.13 and increases the senior clerk from that same amount. So again, we do not have a person for the program assistant, but mostly for the senior clerk, or is it that we don't have a senior clerk position?
I honestly cannot speak to this because I was hoping Kent would be here. So,
Okay, I'm not intimately familiar with this one, but my understanding is, thank you, that this is a title change. We did a similar title change within the engineering department earlier this year related to the civil service examination. This is involving one employee. So the title is changing, the salary is staying the same.
Repeat that again, please.
So the title is changing. Basically, there was, again. Oh, it's on the other side. Okay. So my understanding is, there is an employee right now in the program assistant position. They're changing that title to senior clerk. There's no change in salary for that employee, just a change in title.
But it looks like it's saying it increases the senior clerk position to 19,557.
And reduces the program assistant position by that same amount.
So we're just looking at a title change.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody have any more questions about that?
No.
Nope.
So is this person being demoted or from that position, or what is it that, what's going on that they can't be held in that program
I
position?
think that the title that they currently had required a civil service examination. And again, I'm not intimately familiar with this. The chief would be able to speak more to it. But this is basically just a change in her title. I don't think it's a demotion. I think it's a parallel move.
Okay. And does this need to be expedited as well?
No, I think it was, is there a July?
July
8th.
8th.
So that should be not this business meeting, but the following. There should be time for that.
Okay. Yeah, that would be July. It'll go way past the July 10th one. It'd be right, yeah. So this sounds like this might have to be expedited.
I'm sorry, say it again, Councilman. Is the following business meeting the 10th?
Yes.
Okay. I think that this RL was written so that it would line up, so this didn't have to be expedited. And that salary amount reflects that. So I will confirm, but I'm pretty sure it's okay as is.
As is? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Anybody else have any questions? Any more?
All right. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
So moving on to RL 24-124, this is considered into Public Works and Parks. Councilmember Dundon will be leading the discussion, and if we could have Ron Lake, the city engineer, come down and present.
Good evening, Ron.
Good evening.
Looks like it'll be me and you pretty much closing this out, so. So this is RL 24-124, a resolution authorizing a supplemental agreement number 4 with Deco for additional street improvements. The amendment is to extend project limits, including street lighting, and provide additional utility coordination. Can you give us a little synopsis?
Yes, this is phase 2 of the Deco, and this is for Barton Little Judas to add a few things in there. The lighting is on phase 2 is new. And we've asked them to come back and make the area around the new Water Street garage to look like the rest of Deco, instead of having that contractor do it. So we thought the theme would be better and it would look better for the city if we did this.
I'm all set. Anybody else? All right. Moving on. Same folks, we got RL 24-125, considered into Public Works and Parks. Councilmember Dundon will lead this discussion, and we have Ron Lake again.
This is RL 24-125, a resolution authorizing an agreement with Barton Legitis for a preliminary engineering report for the Ball Avenue outfall. Same thing, Ron, give us a little bit of a background, please.
Okay, Ball Avenue is on the north side of the city. It runs from the Brandywine all the way to Schnagel River. This outfall does. So it picks up stuff coming from DOT along the Brandywine. And then we shoot it underground all the way to the river. It goes between houses and it's not easy to get at to, and I don't want to dig it, so we've been looking at this for several years, trying to figure out what to do, and I think we're going to investigate it and see what we can do from the inside. So this report is to come back and tell us how we can repair that, hopefully without digging up that large line.
Yeah, because isn't this where it gets flooded there in Vacary's parking lot and RD
Yes, it
Vincennes and
affects-
backed up?
Every time it backs up, it affects Vacre. So there could be a lot of stone and stuff in there that may need to be cleaned.
Yeah.
We definitely need to look at it.
Yeah, so then this is just basically them running a camera through and making sure there's no collapses, there's no tree roots in the ray, like you said, any debris or anything.
Yeah, there'll be a little more of that. We'll electronically shape the pipe as they go.
Oh, so it's more like a 3D type.
Yes.
Interesting.
There's nothing else from anybody? Okay. We can move on to RL 24-126, again in Public Works with Councilmember Dundon and Ron Lake.
So this is RL 24-126, a resolution authorizing an agreement with Hunt EAS for a preliminary engineering report for the Tompkins Street Pumping Station. And before I get into this, Ron, I want to thank you so much publicly to keep me in the loop all the way from helping to score the engineers. And if I would have been able to make the meetings, see all their presentations. So I really appreciate you keeping me involved in every step.
And we appreciate having your help.
Thank you so much. So, but yeah, so this is for Hunt EAS will gather data and alternative analysis of existing pump station and watershed area, develop recommendations and draft a preliminary engineering report, and then a final preliminary engineering report. That should just be a final report.
Yep.
Typo.
As some of you may be aware, we have some flooding issues along the Brandywine from Court Street North. And we also have a lot of flooding around the stadium. And this is going to take a look at that. But also the pump station just at Tompkins Street just doesn't function. The way it was built, it only can take like half of the top half of the pipe that comes into it. That half of pipe remains full all the time. So when we have a major storm, we only get to use the top half of that conveyance system. So what I'm going to try to do here is see where we can locate a new pump station or redo that one so that we can empty that line and we can handle the storms and reducing the flooding all the way back up to Robinson Street.
Does it cost too much money to try to update it? Because of,
It can't be updated because the floor is so low. We have the floor and the pipe comes in and the pump's set on the floor. There's no pit floor. So, and these large pumps, you have to have at least 4 feet ahead on top of them for them to work. So that 4 feet is always in
so
there,
it tend to
backing
stay
up the
low all the
pipe.
time. It's in
Yeah.
okay.
So we don't get the whole pipe emptied when we pump. So we don't have full capacity or use of it.
Yeah, and I have an idea. Do you have an idea of where you're thinking about putting another terminal pump station in?
Well, I've had some thoughts. I want the consultant to do some homework, but basically if we can't put a pit next to it, then I think maybe we can go across the street into the old NICEC property. But we'd have to work.
Oh, I know,
we'd have
I
to work
exactly
that
know
out.
where you're talking about right there, that old nice property.
You know, where the old
Mm,
tank was, but back
mhm.
further. Then we have the problem of going under DOT's
Ron,
road.
Ron, could you mind moving the mic closer to you?
Okay, then we have the problem of going through OT, and then we have the Army Corps and DEC with the retaining walls. So my thought was to go up and over and back down, but we'll see what they come up with. But we really do need to do this project. It's been a problem long before I got here.
And we already had 2 floods prior and.
Yeah,
yeah,
and it just
there's always-
doesn't work properly. So even now when we don't have floods, but we have those hard downpour, back on Henry Street and on up the Brandywine.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm sure DOT is not going to want us boring under their freshly paved Route 11 there.
And I'm sure the Army Corps isn't gonna want us going through that wall either.
My only question would be, is this, is the total cost of this, in a budget already? Or would this be new?
This study
Yeah,
is in the budget.
okay. In your department, I assume?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? All right, thank you, Ron.
We got one more.
Oh, we got one more. All right, let's keep it going. RL 24-127 in Public Works and Parks, Councilmember Dundon will be leading the discussion with Ron Lake.
RL 24-127 is a resolution authorizing an agreement with EDR to evaluate conditions for the terminal pump system. EDR will evaluate the existing conditions along with an updated report to develop a preliminary and final design. This design will be used for construction and regulatory review and comment.
So this is to upgrade the terminal pump station, which is west of the treatment plant. It's over on, I believe, Gates Road. It's the line that comes in from a little bit of Vestal and comes across the river from Johnson City. The problem with this pump station is that there is a grinder system in there. And we get all the rags and we get all these flushables. And you all know there's a problem with those because the grinder will grind them. And it's a long distance to the plant. By the time it gets to the plant, they're in wads again. And they hit our screen there and it just plugs it. So the solution to that is to remove the grinders, put in a coarse screen, and then we'll remove all that material right there at the pump station. And then it can't get to the plant and cause the blinding that it does. So this will be a project which will be ready to bid maybe this fall. I'm hoping that we can get there. But it is really needed by the plant. I have kept the plant superintendent and George Colva involved in this. They were involved in the selection. So the plant will be with us all the way and we'll make sure that we get it right.
So I'm think we're all pretty familiar with the TPS and we've had a lot of discussions about it. So and we approve the funding for it. So it's this fit in. It's just allowing.
The fund, we have the funding.
Okay, so it's
We did-
assigning
we did a
the
bond
work.
Issue for this.
Can you say that one more time?
We did a bond issue for this.
Right.
So we have the funding. So as soon as we get the design done, then we can go to bid. Yeah, this is for the final design.
Implement it and start working on
Yes. You don't have to implement it. If it waits for your normal, that'll be okay. I mean, if you want to, it'll help us get started earlier, but it's not a necessity.
Okay. Oh. All right. There's no further
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
all right, and the last one on the agenda is RL 24-123. This is in rules and procedures, which I am the chair of, and I am also presenting this. So just ask me questions right after. So this is for a food cart dimension update. So right now we've been working on updating some of the different parts of our food cart charter. And currently the restrictions are pretty limiting in the size of the cart, and I don't think that they reflect a modern food cart. I looked into Rochester and Syracuse's respective charters on their food carts, and they allow for a much larger dimensions. And if you just actually go out and measure these spaces, and you go onto different cities and you see like how this is the standard size. I think this is I don't know. This just allows for more modern food carts to operate within the city. And that's what I am intending to do here.
Do you have a specific size and dimensions?
I do. It's not. We did outline it. It's not attached to this packet. Now I don't want to say it. I think it's a 4x10 and there's no height restrictions.
Okay, I just, with it not being attached to the packet, I was curious if you had numbers in mind or.
The dimensions that we worked out for the food cart. The ones that are in there now are 3x7 with a height limit of 50 inches. The ones that I had proposed were, I think it's 4x10 with no height limit. Right. Yeah. And that's excluding an umbrella. Do you guys have any questions for me on this?
Um,
Will you have this ready if we expedite this?
It's actually written up already. 6x10.
I,
Okay. 6x10 is
6x10.
This is also pertain to even if you have like maybe seating in certain areas for certain crowds.
this doesn't affect the seating provision, which is like one small table and 2 chairs that can accompany a push cart.
That's just what a push cart, that's what a push cart and or is
Food
that for both?
cart and push cart are synonymous in the charter right now, as
Okay,
far as I
so-
understand.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure there's a distinction or if there was. So nothing would have to give you a hiccup to pass this, because I'm in agreement with this, and I don't want any more surprises coming from that would interfere with what you're trying to do and get this done.
Right.
Yeah, I'd like to protect our vending cart workers and owners out there. So I'd like to make a motion to expedite this to the next business meeting on Wednesday.
I'll second.
And can we take a roll?
Councilmember Porter,
Aye.
Councilmember Dundon,
Aye.
Councilmember Costi,
Aye.
Council President Pro Tem Hotchkiss.
Aye.
It's 4-0. Thank you.
The motion passes. I think there's no other discussion. I think that's it. Accept motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Nice and second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right,